Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Indy. I am so grateful that you have tuned in. I want to talk a little bit about Ashlee Janae and her boyfriend, Joy Mccann, who was her fiance. God bless her soul. If you have not been following this, I'm going to share Black females' perspective. And it's so important. This is important because why it's important to me. I grew up dating within my race, outside of my race, and I can tell you that yes, there is a difference. However, with this situation has been so wild because it has stripped us of our Cinderella stereotypical beliefs of dating outside of race. What do I mean? Well, we all know that there are these preconceived notions that if you date um, a white person, healthier relationship socially, and things like that, versus the stereotypical things we've been told about dating a brother or a black man is it's going to be harder because he might be more argumentative. He might be more physically aggressive towards you. And so, this is why Ashlee Janae talked about the soft life. And I guess she was an influencer who really championed her work on having the soft life. And unfortunately, she is no longer with us because there's a little video from the news. So it says influencer held by police after he was found dead during a birthday trip to Africa. So this is Ashlee here. Beautiful young girl. She was only 31. That's her fiance. And so they're saying here, she hanged herself on the door, according to her. And then they say that the cause of death is strangulation. So this is very sad. They're saying here he was questioned by the police on Monday, her partner Joe, and that they are refusing to comment, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get out of there for content reasons and copyright reasons. But I want to say this. She was living the soft life. If you looked at her profile, she looked like she had it made. She was starting to convince many of us Black women, maybe we should start, considering the soft life. And allow ourselves to be pampered and treated like a princess, like how she was. I mean, she was in Dubai, she was all over the place with this man. And let me take a look at her IG really quick, her Instagram, so you guys can see a little bit of what I'm talking about. So here's one of her pages, and she's got this picture here where they're just hanging out. And look, it looks nice. Date night, right? It's beautiful. Oh, look at here though. This is what we need to talk about. Okay, there's all of these different stereotypes of, yes, dating a white guy, he's going to be nicer, he's going to be sweeter. But one thing about this man that I found was very interesting, he cannot hide his facial expressions. You see everything in his eyes. You see everything in his face. Look at those eyes. I mean, that is not a soft gaze. That looks like he wants to devour her. That looks like he wants to hurt her. What is he thinking in this moment? Is this just disgust? Is this despising her? Is this utter hatred? This doesn't look like love to me. And it doesn't look like he's, in the mood. This looks dangerous. If I was Ashlee in this picture, I would have been like, take me home. Okay? Turn the plane around, because this is just scary. But she didn't see it. God bless her soul. And yeah, they had their good moments. Okay. Of course they had their good moments. So you see here, he, pampered her and it's all good. But now she's no longer with us. Even if you look at some of the other pictures, it just didn't give, some of these gave like, okay, this is nice. They're hanging out, some of these were good. She's so beautiful. God, but even this look, like, I don't know if he just has a problem with his facial expressions. Like, I'm not sure. I'm glad they had fun. So, there were good moments, but then there were the wild moments like what I just showed you with that one. And then, of course, this one with the lion, and he proposed to her. Even his face, it just everything looks so weird, you know? Everything looks so weird, And then the Bible does talk about how the enemy does go about as a roaring lion, seeing who he may devour. It's just that was very interesting. But look at his face. I mean, everything to me is just a little bit awkward regarding his ability to express his love. I think he was still getting to know her. I am not convinced that he was madly in love with her. It felt forced. It looked forced. If you're looking at the video and the pictures, and so I'm bringing this to all women, especially Black women, because we have got to stop this narrative of soft life. We have to realize that there are great men in every race, and that there are wild men that are not okay in every race. Okay, there are Black men out here that can give you a soft life. Yes, there are Black men that do not beat their women, that do take care of their families. They are family men. And yes, we know that there are white men that do the same. We know that there are Spanish men, right? We know that there are Asian. There are men of every race, every culture that can be fabulous. Okay, but this is what we have to do better as Black women, as women in general. The vetting process. We've got to go through background checks. We've got to go through mental checks, psychological checks. Does he have a counselor? Has he seen therapy for anything? Has he had anything traumatic take place in his life? What kind of stress load is he dealing with? Can you handle helping him with the stress that he's dealing with? Or are you guys having full out, blown out arguments, fights? Is he too reserved? Because some men are too reserved, and it's scary, right? Is he Does he trust you? There's so many different things that I think should have been looked into with this situation. But the one thing from my perspective is we have got to stop putting certain people in certain classes of people on a pedestal. And this also shows us that money does not buy love. Money is not everything. There are men out here that are working a simple 9-to-5 job, making $85,000 a year, who would be able to wine and dine you and not take your life. I think that, and I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I think it's very interesting that, she was with her partner and then is no longer with us. So I think that one thing we have to also consider is when you are dating these people and you're going through this process, this vetting process, and it's getting serious, we have to wait before we take these exotic trips, because now you've got to think of vaccinations. Now you've got to think of passport, air flights, all these different things that your loved ones that are left behind now have to figure out. And it's so sad because they're saying in the situation that unfortunately they're waiting for her body to be shipped back. And the one thing that got me was, if he is a multimillionaire, because he was in crypto, if he's a multimillionaire, good for him. But why can't he help with getting the body back and to getting her belongings back to the States? I thought that was very interesting. Why is there a GoFundMe page up for her? Why is this not taken care of? Another thing is, did she have life insurance? I do help people with different things like life insurance, helping to make sure families are secured. I think that's a huge thing, because situations like this show there should not be a GoFundMe. There should have been enough financial decisions in place that could have helped Ashlee in this situation. But we as women, we have got to do better on our vetting process. 2, we need to make sure we have life insurance. 3, we need to make sure that we're also listening to those that we love, those that love us, our net of influence, to say, hey, here's this guy I'm dating. What do you think? What's your take on it? Do you see any red flags? What's your suggestions? Asking your loved ones, asking your best friend, and taking that advice, because so many times we don't want to hear the advice because we're in love. All we see is love. And then in her case, maybe all she saw was money, because she's like, he said. So it's a scary, ladies. Dating a guy like that, they call that what, a high value man. I mean, according to Kevin Samuels, he would have been a high dollar, high value man, right? So that's supposed to be someone that we esteem to be with. But I mean, if you're looking at the pictures, you can tell that he had a problem internally with being able to resolve things. And I think that unfortunately, she's no longer here today because something went down. I am not, um, I just want to say that, as a Black female, so many of us are under so much pressure. We do so much to try to be accepted, to try to look beautiful. We wear our extensions, right? We do all kinds of stuff. We've lost the weight. We've gotten, so many great opportunities in our career. We've built ourselves up by the grace of God. And then yet there's still sometimes that longing to be in a relationship, to be with someone, to be loved. But I'm telling you, women, we have got to think twice, and we've got to make sure that we are doing the vetting process whenever we're getting in this relationship with these men, because I mean, God forbid we wind up being in a situation like this because we were looking for love. I think that this also makes us to just be mindful. Social media, it paints one thing, but it's not always the truth, and Ashlee had painted a beautiful fantasy life of just traveling to Dubai and all these places and just looking glamorous. But now we see that we've got to be careful, because what always glitters is not always golden, and it's not always greener on the other side. We've got to be careful as women, especially Black women, to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in vulnerable situations. So with that said, I hope that we can get justice for Ashlee. And I'm so thankful for the other influencers that are out here that are speaking on this. I know for me, what this did for me is it popped that bubble of, oh, all white men are soft life men. Now I'm starting to see we need to take men case by case. And we need to not, like I said, we need to not assume that there aren't great Black men out there, or that there aren't great Spanish men, Asian men, things like that, that can also give you a soft life. And you're not being in a situation like Ashlee. So women, take care of yourself. Please do vetting. Make sure you have a group of people that know where you're at when you're dating this guy. Make sure your location is there. Make sure you've done a background check. Make sure you've done psychological checks, doing some scans, some brain scans and things to see whether it's CAT scan, MRI, things like that, to see where, each partner's at. Have some conversations about what makes him tick. And see if you really are compatible, because it's not always about the wealth. It's about compatibility, and if you can see yourself with someone like that forever. And one thing I will say, you can tell she loved him. She really did. But I'm going to be honest, I always had a question mark on if he loved her as much. And it's not to bash anybody. It's the facial expressions that does it for me. And I think that, we as women, we've got to be careful on the vetting process and on who we are choosing to spend the rest of our life with. And if you can't find someone, and if you have that pit in your stomach, it's okay to be single. It's okay to thrive in your singlehood and to do many things and to lay your head down in peace and to know that you'll wake up the next morning and that you can go and thrive and do some great things in society. So with that said, ladies, thank you so much for listening. And thanks for letting me share. Please like and subscribe. And if you want to see more content on this, you have any questions, let me know. I would love to share more of myself with you guys like this. My website, www.india-white.com. I'd love to see you guys there. And with that said, take care.